Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good
I
afternoon.
say start. I'm ready.
Good
Start.
afternoon.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. It's Thursday, and you know what that means. We are live, and I'm so glad you're here today because we have something genuinely special lined up for the next 60 minutes. My name is Loretta Ngwebe, and for those who may not know, April 28th was World Day for Safety and Health at Work. And and every year, the International Labour Organization marks the day to draw attention, to how we keep workers safe. And this year, I wanted to do something a little different because safety at work means so much more than a hard hat and a high visibility jacket. So today, we're going to talk about the risks you cannot see, the stress that builds up quietly eh, um, over months, and the toxic workplace cultures that break people down from the inside, the mental and emotional toll of just showing up to work every day in environments that were not designed with your well-being in mind. And we are going to talk about what that looks like, specifically in African workplaces, because our context matter and it does not always get enough attention. So I have two incredible guests with me today, and I'm going to introduce each of them properly because they deserve it. Firstly, joining us today is Mr. Obinna Emezube. Mr. Obinna Emezube is a dynamic human resource professional, agricultural economist, um, agricultural economist, and data analyst with over 7 years of experience um, in talent management, people's strategy, and data-driven decision making. He specializes in workforce planning, talent development, and using analytics to improve employee engagement and organizational performance. With a strong background in agricultural economics, Mr. Obinna combines analytical expertise with practical business insights to help organizations build efficient, high-performing, and sustainable teams. Passionate about continuous learning and innovation, he stays updated on emerging trends in human resources and data analytics, positioning himself as a forward-thinking professional who bridges the gap between people, data, and business success. Thank you so much, Mr. Obinna, for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here for this conversation.
You're welcome, sir. And also with me is Madam Obiagwu Vivian Ben. She is a seasoned public health expert and registered community health officer with over 25 years of experience in grassroots healthcare delivery and community health program management. She currently serves as the executive director of Bethel Viva Foundation, where she leads impactful community-driven initiative focused on improving maternal and child health outcomes in undeserved communities across Nigeria. With extensive experience in reproductive health, family planning, and maternal and child health care, Vivian has dedicated her career to advancing public health through advocacy, health education, and sustainable community-based interventions. Her work is deeply rooted in hands-on field experience, strategic leadership, and a strong commitment to empowering communities with access to quality healthcare services and informed health choices. She's passionate about strengthening civil society engagement in reproductive health and family planning. Madam Vivian believes that improving access to healthcare and empowering individuals with knowledge are essential to national growth and sustainable development. She's based in Delta State, Nigeria, and she continues to collaborate with NGOs, government agencies, and development partners to promote health equity, strengthen grassroots healthcare systems, and drive lasting community impact. So thank you, Madam Vivian Ben, for joining us today.
Thank you once again for having me.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
once again.
You're welcome, man. So, this program, when most people hear workplace safety, they picture construction sites. They picture machinery, protective gear, fire exits, hazard signs, and yes, physical safety at work. Which is critically important. But here is a whole other category of risks that science has been talking about for years, and that's workplaces, especially here on the continent, are only just beginning to to relating to the mind, social relating to how we interact with each other and our environment. Psychosocial risks are the things in your work environment, that affects your mental and emotional health. Things like being overworked with no relief in sight, having a boss who humiliates you in front of colleagues, working in an environment where you feel unsafe or raise a concern, doing work that feels meaningless, and being bullied, harassed, or discriminated against, against feeling like you have no control over your time or your tasks. So these are not small things, and the research is very clear. Chronic psychosocial stress at work leads to burnout, anxiety, depression, cardiovascular disease, weakened immune function, and in extreme cases, it contributes to suicide. And so the World Health Organization recognizes work-related stress as a global epidemic, and yet in many workplaces, particularly in Africa, when someone says they are struggling mentally because of work, the response is still toughing up, and everyone is going through it. At least you have a job, like that's what people say. They'll be like, oh, at least you're working now, like you have a job. And so that response is not just unkind, it is dangerous, and it is costing organizations and communities more than they realize. And so absenteeism, pay performance, high staff turnover, people leaving careers they trained for because the environment broke them down, and these are the visible costs in the invisible ones. And so the people quietly suffering, the talents quietly leaving, and then the health quietly deteriorating, and even larger. So today we want to put all of that on the table and to name it, to understand it, and also to talk about what we can actually do as employers, as health workers, and as communities, and as individual. So once again, Mr. Obinna and Madam Vivian, thank you so much once again for joining us today. And also, I'll be having a few questions to ask. Can you can you all hear me? Can you hear me?
I think I think
Yes,
I
I
can't
can
get
still
the
hear you.
Can you hear me, Madam Vivian? Can you hear me?
I think the last statement you make, I didn't get it.
Okay. All right. I said today we want, like, why we're here today, because we want, people to understand and talk about why this is so very, very important. That is why this topic is important. And so I'll be having a few questions to ask. Can you
Okay.
hear me now? Okay, so my
Yeah,
general
yeah.
question goes like this. From your own experience or observation, what is the most common psychosocial risks you see in African workplaces that nobody's talking about openly? The question goes to both of you, man. So who wants to go first? Should I repeat
I
the
think
question
Mr.
again?
Okay, we get it. Mr. Obinna, you
Okay.
can.
Okay, I said from your own experience or observation, what is the most common psychosocial risks you see in African workplaces that nobody is talking about openly?
Okay. Okay.
So any of you can answer the question.
I okay. So For me, first of all, I would be very practical. I think you've read through some of those rates, things that causes this um, psychosocial risks, things like bullying and all of that. But
Yeah.
beneath it, right, there is a cultural tune to what I'm about, and it's peculiar to the African climb,
Okay.
and I feel I feel this is the reason why a lot of people don't really speak up when they're having these issues, like when they're having harassment in workplaces, where when there are bullies in the workplace, where people don't respect their time. It is like 4 o'clock or 4:30 or 5, and your boss is bringing work for you, and you
Work.
cannot
Exactly.
even, you know, yeah,
Yes.
you just have to. So there is a culture of not speaking up. I think is the stigma that um, goes with mental health issues in Nigeria, especially, and at large. Because the truth of the matter is, um, we as a society, let me even take Nigeria as a study, right? Nigeria have a people who suffer and smile, right? We are all going through it. For example, there is a country that you will be in, as little as if they go through of what we're going through in this country, there will be a meltdown, right? But every
Yes.
day people stand up, they go to their various work, they have to eke out a living, they have to hustle. Do you understand? So
Yeah.
they carry this kind of mentality. We carry this kind of mentality. We carry this culture into the workplace. So when you have an abusive boss, a toxic workplace, you don't speak up because, I mean, why should I? Let me just be managing. Let me just keep it going. Let me just keep it together, because if I complain too much, people would, they might sack me. And that gets me to my second. It's um, harsh economic condition is in the bottom line for all of these, because e- sometimes people don't find alternatives. There are no alternatives out there. So instead of losing your job, you stay in a toxic
Work.
workplace, in yeah, relationship. So they are throwing everything at you. You can't leave because you are thinking in your head, I have bills to pay, I have things
Yes.
to do.
Exactly.
So if I leave now, if they keep treating me this way, they are not appreciating me. They won't, nobody is hearing me, nobody is seeing me. I bring an idea, I bring a suggestion, and it's thrown under the carpet. And these things keep happening. And you can't go because at the end of the day, you have bills to pay. So I
Exactly.
think for me, ideally, these are the things that are very strong in terms of, so every other thing is just embedded around it. Because if we have like choices, you can, probably they treat you so badly at work, and you feel like, man, I've taken this enough, I need to step up. Do you have a job readily available? No, you don't. You don't. So, and also the silent culture that we have in Nigeria, everybody's just, you just taking the pressure and you keep moving. Nobody is complaining. Nobody is complaining about governance. Nobody is complaining about, but it's not like there's no
There's
awareness in terms of
exactly.
mental health right now. But I think the culture of the climb also affects how people perceive, because of the stigmatization. Even there is even another layer to it. There's a gender layer to it. A woman can even talk and people can listen to you, but you can imagine a man talking about harassment
Hmm.
in the workplace. People will go like, "Yeah, what are you talking about?" Right? But
Yes.
so you can't speak up. You see these things, why would a guy say that they are bullying in the workplace? Why would a guy complain that they are? So there is also a gender layer to this stuff. So I think those are the foundational problem that I see, why people cannot really probably speak up, why people cannot really, and everything is economical. If if you've not even finished eating and you are talking about taking care of your mental health, it's just these are the things I find that are really at the base of all the other things that we are talking about. So um, that is that for me.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Obinna. All right, Miss Vivian.
Okay. Okay. Yes. I want to pick from the point of suffering and smiling phenomenon in our country, in our own setting, in our workplaces. You see this mentality of suffering and smiling, and this adage of all is well. I'm a
Yeah,
Christian, but
Mm,
when all is not well and you say all is well, you are dying silently. It's affecting us seriously in our workplace. There's a
your
culture
network
we
is
there's a
bad.
culture we build ourselves here in
Network is bad
Africa.
now.
Hello, can you hear me?
we can.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, but your network is bad.
Okay. It's a bad rain in here. I'll say that there's this culture that we build around our environment here in Africa. This all is
Sorry,
well
sorry,
mentality.
Vivian.
Well,
Can you come again? Your network is bad. We can't hear you.
well, okay. Can you hear me
I think
now?
I think it's her own network. Your network is clear. I can hear you crystal clear.
And her network is actually not. She's not online also too now.
Yeah, yes,
Uh,
her network is unstable.
her network is bad. Her network is. She's off. I
Yes.
think let's wait for her.
Yeah,
I
please,
think
please,
we'll just.
okay.
She's not off. Hello, Mama. Huh? Look at the meeting. How far Huh? For the training. Okay. This thing. Okay, this just it. Okay, take the.
I've joined. Okay, I've added you. Okay, so sorry. I was having a network issue. Really sorry for that. Can you all hear me now? Can you all
Yes,
hear me?
come here.
Okay, so
Yes.
sorry. All right, thank you so much, Madam Vivian, for that wonderful contribution. Because seriously, people are really suffering, but they are not saying it. And the culture, whether it's is in an office, a hospital, does not always make it safe to say so. And that is what we really need to change. So thank you so much, Mr. Obinna and Mrs. Vivian, for that wonderful contribution. Okay, so Mr. Obinna, my next question goes to you. In
Okay.
HR, there is often a gap between what the policy says on paper and what actually happens in the workplace. So when it comes to mental health and psychosocial safety, how wide is that gap in most African organizations you have seen? Mr. Obinna, question goes to you.
All right. I'm actually laughing because the gap is very wide. Like it is very wide, and it's a lacuna that needs to be filled, right? And this goes out to organizational leaders. This goes out to HR specialists that we will begin to um, um, implement the things that we have recorded, or contracts that we have with people. Because see, it's not just about mental health. Even to I have seen places where even people are given contract papers, and there is health insurance in the contract paper, but in real life they don't have those health insurance in place in their offices. So these are the issues. There are some you will see. We take highly your well-being, your mental well-being, and but HR or organizational leaders don't drive this message, real life. Um, but if it comes to policies like compliance, coming to work early, coming to work, you see HR, coming at you, and your line managers coming at you. But then when it comes to things that benefits this your workforce, these people
Yes.
who work for you every day, who generate income for you, we tend to, with levity, we tend treat it with laissez-faire attitude, and it's a big issue. Honestly, I do think it's a big issue, and we should start finding ways to tighten these ropes, to to say what we write, what we say we are going to do for these people who we employ as workforce. Do them, because I honestly, even in my, okay, like my workplace is a male dominated workplace.
Okay.
Um, I work with a construction firm. There are a lot of things that we write in the contract that at the end of the day, it's not entirely my fault, because there are people who are above me, and it's these conversations that we need to be having with people who are above us, to look at these things, because it, you can penalize someone for not coming to work because they
To
come
work
to work
early.
late. Yeah, but how about like asking the person what really is the matter? Can Let's just hear out the people, know why, because there might be a reason why the person, like, honestly, probably if someone is always on time, and probably a day the person doesn't come on time, how do you begin to um, see that eh, you ask questions that are just not beneath the surface, and know the reasons why these things are happening. So I think, yeah, there are big gaps. There is a big lacuna that needs to be.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Obinna, because seriously, the gap is really fascinating to me, because it tells you where the real work is, and writing a policy is the easy part, and so changing a culture is also the hard part, and culture lives in the everyday decisions of managers, and not in documents. So really understand your views. Thank you so much for that wonderful question. So, Madam Vivian, my question goes to you. Um, Community health workers are often the first point of contact for people in distress, including work-related stress. What are they seeing on the ground, and how are they equipped to respond to mental health needs?
Well, as the first point of contact for community people, well, the little we can give, because even we are also stressed in the community, where you see the the workload. You are in a health facility that you are handling almost a clinic day. You have about 100 mothers coming to you, and you just have three health personnel in the health facility. I wonder
Right.
how you work with the
Right.
workload and also listen to something that comes with mental health issues. So, but just to say the facts, educationally we are equipped, but practically is a challenge. Because when you are faced with the work before you and a mother that's on a normal ground, on a clinic day, you as a health personnel, you need to observe your client. You know, you can see those that are really passing through stress, and you have a dialogue with them, you communicate, or those that you want to cancel, you cancel. But on the present situation of our health sector now, I don't think you have time for to look at your client, or you want to meet up just to attend to those that you have on ground.
On ground,
Understand?
yes.
So on the workplace, on the work aspect of it in our community level, we are trying our best. I would say so. It's not easy. It's not easy because let me give an example. A woman that comes for antenatal is our duty to look at the emotional appearance of that woman, and that it tells you a lot of story. On a normal clinic day, you can see those that are happy, those that are moody, those that comes with different kind of body expression. But as a health
Yes.
person, then you
Yeah.
observe, yes, you observe those that are stable and those that are not stable. It's our duty
Yes.
actually to really counsel them and really talk to them. But presently, with the
Yes.
situation of things in our workplace, it's quite challenging. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. It's called for us to actually um, to improve the workforce by putting in more health personnel and
Exactly.
reduce the workload of those that are working, so that you can only put our work into practice the way it ought to be. Because
Exactly.
there's an adage that said, if charity begins at home, if you yourself you are stable, you can now have the room to stabilize the other person. But if you are not stable, then how will you stabilize the other person? So charity actually begins at home. If you are stressed out in your house and you come to the clinic and you see your client, the workload before you, that's another stress of its own. That's another
Exactly.
mental stress of its own. So, but actually, is a real. There's a very big gap. There's a very big gap. I can tell you, there's a very big gap. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Madam
Oh,
Vivian. Like
sorry,
you said,
sorry,
this is a gap.
Melissa, can I interject here? I just have
All
a piece
right.
of information to drop on this. So
Okay.
I read an article, right, that said that actual psychiatrists in Nigeria, that we are 200 million plus people. That if we divide it, that the actual people who are into psychology treatments, psychiatrists in Nigeria, it that the data is about 40,000 people to one psychiatric when we divide, our as in, and I don't know how true that data is, but it's actually like, like she said, workforce is actually lacking in terms of health personnel, to people who have these issues. So sometimes it's not even about getting help, but the right places to get help. Sometimes we don't even have enough hands who can actually help people, and we've not created that awareness, for people to get help, when they find themselves in mental health situations. So I just said I should throw that out. There's really big, vacuum in terms of
Gap.
workforce.
Gap.
Yeah, gap, big gap. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Obinna, for that wonderful contribution. Like our guest said, this is a gap that matters because for many people in informal or rural settings, the community health worker is the entire healthcare system. And if that person cannot address mental health, it does not get addressed. So thank you so much, Mr. Obinna and Madam Vivian, for that wonderful contribution. So my next question goes to Mr. Obinna. A lot of workers are afraid to report mental health struggle to HR because they fear it will affect their job security or how they are perceived. So how does a worker protect themselves while still getting the support they need? Mr. Obinna, question goes to you.
Well, this is actually a very difficult and tricky question because the truth of the matter is, um, like we said earlier, there's still a lot of stigma around mental health in Africa and all that. For example, like I believe that there are some mental health issues that are genetic or probably family, yeah, family bloodline, and most times, sometimes um, you when you are applying for job and you see that place that they say any sickness, any mental health illness, even if you have, you won't tick yes, right? You will tick no because of the stigma associated. So the advice I would give, because whenever it comes up, for now, because of the awareness we have, people haven't really embraced it. To some, it's still a way of um, um, they still term it as business. Like, you have to be resilient. What do you mean? Every time you're complaining about mental health, what do you mean? Yeah, as a worker, you need to be resilient. You need to be up on your feet. So, because of this kind of environment we see ourselves, I would advise that um, the only way you can protect yourself is that when you are stable, in the times when you are stable, be that kind of they know your performance, right? You
Yes.
you work, they know that you are a performer. So that when you drop, when there are drops in your performance, people would notice, and probably they will be the people asking you, what's going on with you? And then you can now leverage on that to like explain, okay, I've been going through this, there's trouble
Yeah.
at home, child, issues, parental issues, and all of that. But where the problem is that you are you are a slacker. You don't. There's no time that they know that you perform well. So if you complain about mental health, nobody takes it serious. If this but if someone is like you're up to date, you discharge your duties well, you are a high flyer at work, so you can actually negotiate when those moments come when you have to drop off work, and it makes it easier for your line managers, for the HR, to excuse you, because they know that on a normal day this one is, she does her work. And again, I also think as people, we should also itemize our work. Whatever, every milestone, every achievement you've made while you are in the company, so that in this
Yes.
sort of situation, you can use as a negotiation that, okay, fine, this is what I've been able to do, this is what I've been able to do. So if I have not
Yes.
been able to do this, that, and that, it's because probably I am going through an issue and all of that. So it's document your work, be a high performer, so that in times where you are a little bit on the low, it's glaring that sometimes the but now the awareness is there, but is not you know as it should be. So there's still those issues at workplace until we begin to make policies that protect workers, and also see that those policies are enacted. So that's what I would advise any person for now.
All right. So what you're trying to say is that we should know our rights, We should document. Yeah, we should document what we can, and also seek support outside the organization if the inside is not safe. And okay, this is a really important practical advice, especially in environments where there is no formal protection or trust in the HR function. So thank you so much, Mr. Obinna, for that wonderful contribution. All
All right,
right,
thank
so
you.
all right, Matt. So Madam Vivian, my next question. Okay, there's a lot of stigma around mental health in many African communities. You know, people are taught to pray, to be strong, to not talk about it outside the family. How do you approach that stigma as a public health professional working on the ground? How do you
Well,
approach that?
when it comes to, I want to still stress on our spiritual and religious. We are too religious in when it comes to mental health issues.
Yes.
So yes, we are too religious when it comes to mental health issue. You can see somebody just like Mr. Obinna was saying, when you are passing through some certain things in your offices, and one funny thing, when you even complain in your workplace that look at what I'm passing through, they will first of all ask you, you sure say no be your village people,
People they do you.
your village people they worry
Right.
you.
Yeah.
That's all.
Exactly.
Yeah, when it comes to mental health, the religious aspect of it is is a very strong challenge, and uh,
Very.
and 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 that is why in community level, how we approach most of these things is we work through the gatekeepers, like the stakeholders in the community, the religious leaders most especially, and we find a way of actually talking to them. Like when you see some mental health issues, they will tell you that is the winch or maybe their tradition kind of. There was a challenge we had in the community. Let me just give an example. There was an outbreak of yellow fever in a community. Yes, yellow fever. So, but when the outbreak started, it was more of the youth that it was affecting. It was affecting the youth from ages 18 years to 35. But do you know what the community did? They
No.
went down into spirituality and said that the king of the nation, the community, did something that was against their tradition. In fact, that the king of that community had to leave the palace. You understand? But when
Yeah.
we invited WHO and others, we try to sensitize them that this is not spiritual. That is an outbreak of yellow fever. We showed them picture, we told them a lot of things. We went through youth leaders, community women leaders. In fact, that community at that particular point of the onset of that outbreak, the community OB left his community, ran away because the youth of the community were after him that he has done something that is against the
Against the
taboo
laws.
that the king did. Yes, so it took the health team, it took the health team, WHO and other health personnel to really talk into the community people that they need to be vaccinated to stop this because they were dying. They were dying. But until they accepted all the sensitization, we showed them pictures, we talked to them before they accepted, and that was what really stopped the spread of that yellow fever in that community. So it has to go a long way. Sensitization, awareness creation, that mental health, it can start from maybe stress at job and somebody is just off the key. And when the baby
Yeah.
person has a back to the go home and rest, let's go home and rest. What they will say, hey, village people don't can and come back. The village people don't make am pursue am for work. So it's yes, yes, it goes a long way of creating more awareness on mental health issues. Mental health issues is start little by little. Maybe from stress on work, the person complain of headache, person complain of, before you know they say it's hypertensive, before you know they say it's diabetic, you say no, this one is much. So it's boiled down to thorough sensitization on mental health issues, to community leaders, to our religious leaders. Most importantly, there was a story. I was somebody, actually a relation of mine, that was passing through mental health issues, and I told him, you see why African is so unique. We are unique in the sense that when we pass through this thing, you will see that is why we have a lot of churches, a lot of spiritual houses, from one place to one church, just to get solution. You see them going. And I
Go
told the
to
man, so
hospital.
if it to be if it to be European country, you see the person say, I'm fed up, and you see maybe you just shoot himself, or just find one thing or the other to end his or herself. But
Yeah.
this yes, the religious aspect of it, one way or the other, has kept a lot of people going, and also has killed a lot of people. So that is why we need to create more awareness on mental health. That when one pass through it, you need that support from families, from relation, from even the health sector and the office. Those support, they need general support to keep that person going. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Madam Vivian, for that wonderful contribution. Okay, Madam Mr. Obinna, do you have anything to say?
No. She has started off. Yeah.
All right, sir. Okay, so Mr. Obinna, my last question goes to you.
Okay.
So, for someone watching this today who works in HR or management, what is one thing they can change or introduce tomorrow without any budget that would make a real difference to their team's mental well-being?
Okay, so for me, I would advise for like what I think I have done this over time with my people. I am not saying I'm perfect. Sometimes I don't, but instead of only creating SOPs, check-in, also the check-ons. I call them check-ons. When you are demanding your, whether the person was able to, all their SOPs, whether they were able to achieve it in a day, how far have you gone with the work? Also ask the person, how are you? Do you understand? Create avenues for people to sincerely talk, because sometimes in it is just work, and I have had issues, life issues of someone who had, he had come into our organization with backlog of mental health from where he's working, from body harm, from spinal issues, to it went down to depression and all of that. I don't want to tell that story. It's a very sad story, but I know how we managed the man till he went to be with the Lord. But it's a story for another day. But these are real issues. So people have issues. Give them ear. Like those days while the man was working in our office, I was his out. He didn't have anybody. So most times in the office, when he comes with his issues to talk, I give him listening ears, because he can talk for hours complaining about so many things. That alone can just be a way of relieving someone. Not just everything is not about work. What are your check-ins? What are your SOPs? Have you done? Just create
An
good
opportunity
avenues for people to just,
for
yes,
them
and
to express
also,
themselves.
right. Also, I think that every organization also should create avenues to bond, more, because the more both higher and lower managers, the more people bond, the more they are able. So that honestly, if probably in a month you guys go hiking, go sightseeing, go for stuff like that, one Saturday in a month, it creates that friendliness, that atmosphere, that people are relaxed in the workplace. People can make friends and are able to talk to each other when they're having issues like that. But if the workplace is uptight, everybody is just locked in their own cocoon and nobody can speak up. So we just come, work, and go. You can't bring ideas. You can't speak when you are sick. You can't say when you have those mental issues. You can't say. So I think those are the two things I would advise. Create more fun time, for out of not really during work time, and then check on people intentionally. Check on people. Give them avenue to be able to free themselves, free their mind. Talk. That's
Oh,
that's what
thank
I
you
can.
so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Obinna. Okay, we have some few questions in the comment section, but before then, I'll be asking Madam Vivian our last question. So, if you could put one mental health and workplace well-being intervention into every Nigerian community tomorrow, what would it be and why?
I will advise having a kind of support group, that is care and support
Okay.
units. Yes,
Yeah.
because yes. Why I will give an example. When I was still my when I started my first workplace, when I because the workload was much. What my doctor will always ask me, he will say, Vivian, I will say, sir. He will say, have you eaten? I will say no, sir. He will say, okay. Do you have money? I will say yes or no. He will say, if I don't have money, he will say, go and go and buy something for yourself. And that make me so relaxed working with him. You understand? I was so
Yeah.
relaxed. I was so free working with him. Well, when the workload is much, what he will just come and say, Vivian. I'll say, sir. He will say, are you okay? I will say, okay, I'm okay, sir. Are you hungry? If I'm hungry, I will say, I'm hungry. So that gave me a very relaxed environment, working environment. So if we can practice that in our community, in our
Communities.
workplace, once in a while, look at your colleague. Just give that support. How is your day? How is it going? Though we know the workload is much, but we'll just give ourselves that break. Look at your neighbor and say, hello, how is the day going? And just try and understand one another. It will go a long way. It will go a long way.
Indeed. Thank you so much. I believe our viewers heard that. And thank you so much, Madam Vivian and Mr. Obinna, for wonderful contributions. Okay, I have some questions in the comment section. Someone asks, um, what do you do when your manager is the source of the stress? And HR reports to the same person. I think Mr. Obin will be the one to answer that question. He said, "What do you do when your manager is the source of the stress, and then the HR reports to the same person?"
This this is quite a difficult situation.
Actually,
It just
actually, that is the cultural
it,
aspect of it.
yeah, because now let's even use like is the CEO. He drops work at very odd times and all that. Um, it's a very difficult one. Do you know why I say it's a very difficult one? Because I also I'm not going to say that my CEO is so difficult, but in some aspect, for example, let me use an example of my CEO. So you drop a budget and he doesn't want that budget at that time, he blanks you. He
Hmm.
won't say anything. He just won't say anything. He's not even, you will keep bringing reminders. He won't say anything. And it's a very difficult place to stay because you don't know whether, at least tell me if there are something that I need to change. Let me know. If there are something that he would just keep quiet. So I would, for right now, I don't know because you have to be very careful like we said before, because the root cause of all this is that people don't have alternative, right? Like I said from the beginning, imagine that you have alternative, and every time the stressor is your boss, every time you go to work, there is something very stressful that he's doing and you don't like. You can actually just your CV and say, you know what, I'm done. I can walk away. We don't have that levity here, we don't. So you also find ways to manage until you find something that honestly, and I'm being practical, because until we are able to advocate or sensitize even the upper echelon that see, we can also relate well, relate better. Because if you have someone who is a boss who is difficult, it's a cultural thing. There's nothing you can do about it, really. You can't
Exactly.
change. Yeah, you can't change a man that is like that, except it's by a miracle, or except by sensitization, that he hears and hears and hears, and he now starts considering. But at that point, you just have to be very careful, not to, except you have an alternative, you can just walk away from that environment because it's already becoming toxic. But
Yeah.
for for mine,
There's not.
I'm just the way, yeah, to deal with it when he's not forthcoming, when he doesn't like a budget. I will keep tweaking and explaining why those things should be in the budget until he gets that those things he can't go with them. Then he now answers me. That just find ways around it. For now,
I
that's
will.
all. Yeah.
It's quite. Can I say something? Can I chip in something?
Vivian, you
It's
have to
quite
end.
challenging.
You have to end.
Yes, I would say it's quite challenging because I don't know, as an HRO, is there any can there be any forum where if the office can make a room where the staff can actually drop what they feel about the managers, and
Oh yeah.
they share it on what can is there any forum like that? I think that will go a long
There.
way.
Yeah. So there are forums like that. I also have seen um, a situation where these are. I think, like we are saying, is an African thing and is an African mentality thing. There are some people that just feel like you can't just change them, right? You can't, no matter what this is who I am, this is how I am set. The people are set, in their ways. Like there's a situation where we went to an office to train and to, like to structure, and because their boss didn't want to implement, people hate the implementation phase. They can bring in good speakers, people to structure a policy, but it's the implementation. And at the end of the day, a CEO is hard. I am speaking from experience because I am I it's my position. So
Okay.
sometimes it's very, very difficult dealing with this emotional owners. Most especially for things that they've probably found a way that this thing has worked for me before, and you're telling them that this thing does not really work, at the long run. It's hard for you to change them. But we'll keep creating forums to speak to people who are over us until they learn that some things, some of the ways they deal with their staff is also it triggers mental health issues. Some of them don't know. So they just feel that the work, you just come and do your work, be resilient, do your work, and you go home. So
Yes.
that's those are issues. And I would advise that if it continues to happen, if it continues to happen that you don't have a solution to it, um, away, especially when it means that is the owner of the place. If it is not the owner of the place, you can find ways to reach the owner that this particular line manager, um, this and this keeps happening, But at the point that the stress is coming from the owner of the place, you have to find a way or you move away. That's the only advice I can
Right.
give.
Okay. All right. Okay. I think someone. Okay, I'm seeing another question. Um, it said, I have been experiencing burnout for 2 years, but I am afraid to talk to anyone at work about it. What should I do? I think both of you can answer the question, but Madam Vivian will go first.
Okay. When whoever is facing a burnout, I too faced a burnout because I worked before I became an executive director. When you are facing a burnout, before you burn out to no control, so I don't know the extent of the burnout, but it's better the person open up.
Okay.
If you can't open up to the HRO, depending on your department, you can open up to an assistant or to whoever that you know that is close to that person before it becomes bad. Before it becomes bad. So when somebody is experiencing a burnout, it's better for the person to air it out or the person go down with depression. Hi, are you with us? Hello?
Okay, I can hear you. I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Sorry,
Yes, I
I was
said
having
it's better
network
for the
issue.
person.
I can hear you now.
Okay, I think it's better for the person to air out than to go down on
Okay.
depression, which is the worst. Yes, it's either you speak to somebody, if it's the HRO or somebody that's close to that can hear you out. Because it's bad to die in silence. It's bad to die. Not in our age. A lot of things are happening now. So it's better the person air out than to come down in depression. So that is my contribution to that.
All right. Thank you so much, Madam Vivian. Mr. Obinna, do you have anything to say?
Okay. So what I have to say is that you must air out because the truth of the matter is that if something happens to you tomorrow, that work will go on. That's just the truth.
Thank you.
That work will go on. People will keep doing what they are doing. People will come to work. They will do a mini silence for you, and work will continue. So you have to air out. You have to find ways to talk. And that's why I was happy on HR creating a friendly atmosphere at work, so that if you can't even talk to your line manager directly, you at least you can talk to your colleague who can now probably take your matter up there. Just we must create those avenues where people can talk. If you cannot talk, find help outside. You must talk because if something happens to you, work will go on. That's my take. Please find a way to express yourself. Let it out because in the good day and it's not just
Exactly.
evil. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Thank you so much, Madam Vivian, and thank you so much, Mr. Obina, for your time. Thank you so much for that wonderful contribution. Um, thank you so much. So before we go, um, I want to give each of our guests just one moment, to leave the audience with something they can just carry. Starting with you, if someone is watching this today, okay, to Mr. Obina, if someone is watching this today and they needed to hear one thing, what is it?
Okay. I think we the thing I would leave with us here is um the words of Charles Darwin. We knew him as one of the greatest scientists, but he also was who was very big on emotional well-being. Please, people, take care of your emotional, your mental well-being. Don't allow yourself get to the point where things spiral out. Then we'll now start talking about depression and all of those things. Speak up, I know it is difficult in the African workspace. There are advocacies, around that. There are, policies are coming up around that. But until the greater number of people are speaking out, it becomes, let's make it an issue in the workplace. Because if people keep speaking up, bosses will start paying attention that this thing is a key element of our work, and we have to take it serious. Please take your mental health serious. Speak up when you need to speak up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Obinna. Mrs. Vivian, is there anything you would like to say?
Um,
Can you unmute? I can hear you.
uh, okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can
Can you
hear
hear me
you.
now?
Yes,
I
ma.
think
I can hear you.
yes, the mental health issue in our community level, I will need to say should be looked seriously into, involving our stakeholders, the religious leaders and our community leaders, in promoting care and support when it comes to some mental health issues. Not leaving them, somebody is passing through depression and somebody, you see the behavioral change, the change is changing, and we just target problem, they just target spiritual, and that is the end of that. And the person is neglected and rejected. So my desire is to really involve our religious leader and our community leader in issues pertaining to mental health issues. It will go a long way in our society. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. I am genuinely grateful for giving your time and your knowledge, to this conversation today, and to everyone watching. Thank you for being here on this day, World Day for Safety and Health at Work. The fact that you showed up, that you stayed, and that you're asking questions and sharing your experience. This is the beginning of the change we are talking about. So change starts in conversations like this one. You deserve to go to work and come back whole, and not just physically, mentally, emotionally, and humanly. And so that is not so much to ask, and we should not stop until we shouldn't stop asking until it is the reality. So please, I want you all to like this video, share it, especially with someone who is struggling at work and doesn't have language for it yet. Subscribe to this channel, and you'll never miss a Thursday. And also drop in the comments, what was the one thing from today's conversation that hits you the hardest. I'll see you next Thursday. Take care of yourself. Thank you so much, my Madam Vivian and Mr. Obinna, for joining us today. To have a lovely weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Okay, sir.